It is the most wonderful time of the year. Yes, it is finally March and we have lots to discuss. It has been a tough week for the Huskies, but they were able to pull away with 2 wins. We're going to break that all down for you soon, but welcome back to Under Review. I'm Mahn.
And I'm Inesta. Let's get into it.
So it's been quite a tough week. We lost to St. John's last Tuesday at home. We were able to overcome DePaul, but by a very small amount, as well as Xavier. What is happening right now for the Huskies?
To be real, I don't really know what's going on. Gino has been saying in the media and stuff that they are who they are. The excuses aren't really valid anymore, the tiredness, the shortage, because we're getting players back like Caroline, and the performance is still the same. They're just not all playing well together, but I do think this year is a little bit different to what we are normally used to, as, it started off with Paige and Ice getting her way back, but that's just not really relevant anymore, and I just think this is who the team is, and we have to accept it.
I completely agree. I think it is a little bit different, as you said, because we have 2 players that we can't rely on to return. We're not coming back to full strength, but as Coach Rama said himself, we are self-sabotaging ourselves. During that Xavier game, it felt like we were handing the game to them. Just a bunch of missed layups and the rebounding, missed offensive rebounding and missed defensive rebounding, which would change the game because we have to have a lot more shot accuracy if we're only going to be able to take 1 shot. But I thought Aubrey did a pretty good job at rebounding in that game for the lack of bigs we had. But it's just not looking the best. But if there's any game for that to happen, I would want it to be that Xavier game because that's really the last game that we can have a fluke game like that. So going into Xavier, we've had our injury woes for the year, and then Dorka Juhas walks out on senior night with a boot, not able to play. What were your thoughts on this?
Like we were just talking about, it was very shocking. No one really knew at all. Like, there was no media report on it. They knew when she walked out. And it was very disappointing, only for, the senior night stuff, her and Lou. It was supposed to be a fun night for them with Dorka's mom being there to watch her. But that just didn't happen. And I think, in the end, I'm sure it's a smart decision because to have her ready for the Big East tournament, maybe sending her out against someone against Xavier is the best option. But, it was a little bit of she's out too, so what are we going to do? But, we got the win, and hopefully she's ready for the tournament this weekend.
Yeah, it was very upsetting because I felt bad, as it was her senior night. Her family was there. But we still did get to appreciate her, and I hope she's healthy soon. And then we see Aaliyah fall during the game, have to get medical attention. Luckily, I think it's fine, but do we ever know when anything's fine? No. Every single game, there's 5 scares of every single player, and it's please do not be hurt. I don't know why this happens with us, but it's just incredibly scary, especially when we have a small bench. You don't want to go back to an even smaller bench, but hopefully they did say Dorka should be back by the Big East tournament, so I'd like to rely on that. Although it's been a tough week, do you think there were any silver linings in those 3 games that you saw?
I do think yes. As much as it's hard to find, I do think we're still UConn. The team is still bonded. They still have all the chemistry they've ever had. They know that they aren't the best. They dropped a little bit in the rankings, which was kind of surprising, not gonna lie. But I think they're still UConn, and it's March now. Playoffs are here, just about, and I think the regular season put that behind us, and now we're gonna start to focus on what's really important, which is the Big East tournament and March Madness. And I think they're going to be all right. I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I think it's upsetting to have a wake-up call so late in the season because I know we had it last year losing to Villanova, but now it's just coming down so close to it. But I think maybe almost being under pressure and having to turn it around so fast might light a fire under them. Nika Mule broke the single-season assist record, which I think is insane. I think it's a huge bright side to this year. I think she stepped up so much as a leader, and passing Sue Bird, the irony of them having the same number, I think that was really cool to see. And then I did like Caroline starting. Not that Dorka shouldn't be, but when Dorka was out, Caroline started off more fiery and was able to get those points quicker. And I think she just felt like she was like trusted to be on the court. She just got into her rhythm more. So I wonder going into the Big East tournament if she will be starting then, because I think she stepped up pretty well. So we hear Coach Auriemma's concerning comments in that post-game press conference with Xavier. He doesn't know if the team's even going to make it to the Final Four. What needs to be fixed and improved on now going into the Big East tournament?
I think offense has been a huge problem since maybe about halfway through the season. They started off winning these games by 30-plus points, and they were doing great, even with AZ being out. Lou was scoring 20-plus every game, and they were doing good, but something, I don't know what switch went off, but their offense has been a huge problem. Not with St. John's, they lost to St. John's, and that's not okay with their offense abilities there. I feel like they have to turn that around, because there are going to be so many teams that are firing against them this season, for Big East and March Madness, and if their offense doesn't get high flying again, they're not going to be able to keep up. And especially with offense getting the rebounds that they've been missing so much, it's going to be so important. They really need to turn that around.
I completely agree. It sometimes feels like it's 5 separate players playing on the court. They have such good court chemistry, but it's just kind of off right now. And I think every single person on the court needs to think, I need to take over this game. Because when Caroline comes up, someone else isn't as scoring as much. It's every single person needs to be on, and they need to act like they're going to be the player to change the game. Because I think with the 2 conference losses this year, this tournament needs to be an absolute domination for UConn. We beat the teams that we came close to and lost to this year by over 30 points before. So I think we just need to restore back. We were able to do it this season, and we still have people in and out. So I think it's really important that we are able to dominate those teams. Obviously, the Big East tournament is not going to be simple, as we've come close with a lot of teams. Who do you think is going to be the biggest competition going into it?
I've been saying this for a while. Villanova is dangerous, with especially the whole team, but Maddie Siegrist. She is National Player of the Year candidate. She is going to be a big problem. Holding her to 21 points a few weeks ago, that's not going to be the end of her whatsoever. Beating Villanova 2 times in the regular season, yes, that was good. But I think it's going to be really tough for UConn to beat them again if they get to that championship round, because they are on opposite sides of the bracket. Villanova did have a 26-5 record, which is the exact same as UConn with that one less Big East game. But I just think if they don't stop Villanova is going to be a problem. And especially, not just Villanova, you got St. John's and Marquette, who are going to be clear problems. At this point of the season, opponents see that UConn, they're struggling a little bit, and they want to beat them that much more. So I think this tournament is going to be a huge, starting point to what the March Madness tournament could be.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it really could be anyone, which I never like saying, but we played Butler and Georgetown in that first round. I'm hoping that they can really prove themselves in that. And then it's either St. John's or Marquette. Both revenge games, which if you told me a year ago that we would have 2 revenge games, I would think it'd be Nova and Creighton, but it's St. John's and Marquette. And I think these teams really want to do it again. They capitalized on us before, and they'll want to do it a second time. Additionally, any other team that could get Villanova or Creighton in that early round or something like that, they might go on a run. Every single Big East team wants to beat UConn right now, so I think everyone has a target on our back. Seton Hall has Lauren Parkleen, who's a finalist for a bunch of awards. You got Maddie Siegrist of Villanova. There's threats on all ends, so I think they just need to be cautious of whatever team they're playing, and they just need to play UConn basketball. I think Villanova really, really, really wants to beat us with the 3rd game this season, and they're climbing up in the rankings. So I do not think they should be underestimated by any means. We did fall in the rankings. We're now number 9. What are your thoughts now going into March and into the Big East tournament with that number 9 ranking?
I'm not going to lie. That number 9, that was a hit.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've been that low in a while. I'm not exactly sure. But at the end of the day, rankings are just a number. It doesn't define. I know we're not saying this when we're number 1 or number 2, but it really is just a number. And yes, there's a lot of good teams. And yeah, Villanova's right there. They're number 11. And I think that's really dangerous. But I feel like this could be a lot for the March Madness tournament because, again, there's been so many records that have unfortunately been broken in streaks this year, and we have made the Final Four tournament 14 consecutive times, and I don't know, that might be in jeopardy this season, but I guess it's just all up to what the team can do, especially in the Big East tournament. It's a big start.
People may say I'm crazy. I could imagine us going to another Final Four. I know we have it in us. Every single player has such a large amount of potential, and they've all shown it on different occasions. They just need to all show it on the same occasion. And I think beginning with that round of 64, every single opponent from then on can beat you. Round of 32 last year, UCF almost had us. Everyone knows that it's either win or go home. So you have to come out every game as if it's the last game of your season. And now we could be, I'd hope, a number 2 seed, but we could be a 3 seed, which could change a lot. But regardless, if you're in the tournament, you can win it. So I think we just have to work with the controllables rather than the uncontrollables. I also think another point is we kind of have to act like, because we don't know when she's coming back, that AZ is not coming back. I would assume she is, but we have no information. And to try to rely on her to save the day is only going to make things worse. So I think that we just have to play with who we have. They can all strengthen themselves, and if we could add AZ into the mix, that would be awesome. But I think we need to be confident that we can win without her, that if we added her, we'd be able to win even greater. In other basketball news, as we are going into March, we all saw the insanity that Caitlin Clark displayed in the Iowa versus Indiana game. The only thing I was thinking is there's no way they're going to inbound the ball to Caitlin Clark. And what did they do? Inbound the ball to Caitlin Clark, and she gets the shot off. Absolutely insane. To me, seems like that sealed National Player of the Year for her. What were your thoughts?
I'm a huge, top 25. I follow all the teams. Caitlin Clark is she's ridiculous. That if you watch that shot, she had no clear shot on it. She just tossed the ball up, and it went in. I think she's incredible. But then, I don't know, being a Big East familiar with that, Maddie Siegrist, it is crazy with the offense because she's still got the number 1 scoring in the nation. But Caitlin Clark, she's right there, number 2. But last year, Caitlin Clark went in competition with Aaliyah Boston on the National Player of the Year award. So, I don't know, it's definitely a toss-up again, but I think she's right there.
Yeah, right? Caitlin Clark, in a podcast with Haley Jones, she was saying how her first game she thought was her worst game. She scored 8 points, and she's never scored below 10 points since that game. And I just think that is an insane statistic. She had awesome stats in that game alone, and then to score the game winner, so much pressure on you being such a hyped-up player. She really did live up to the hype. There's truly no one like her, and she's absolutely revolutionary. I know we played them back in November, but I could seriously see Iowa being a threat going into the tournament, as well as Indiana. That is a strong team, and we played them last year, but they are back even stronger. And then in other basketball news, sadly, Olivia Miles was hurt, I guess, this past week in a game. They don't know when she's going to be back, but it could be season-ending injury with how late it is in the season. They also have Dara Mabry out, so it kind of makes me realize, as much as our injury woes are awful, other teams are going to have to power through this.
Yeah, totally. All teams get hurt. It's not just UConn, which they know that, and I feel like every team is oh, UConn's getting hurt. But it's a nationwide thing. It's not, they're always there. I just think, Notre Dame, we lost to them, and I think you'd never want to see a player get hurt, but if we end up getting matched up with them in the tournament, it could be good, but both teams are dealing with the injuries, so you really don't know what is going to happen, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
We will have to wait and see. I think March is going to be an absolutely insane time, just with how women's basketball has been so far. Anyone in that 10 to even 20 range are really competitive, good teams, and I'm very excited to see who we get matched up with. But for now, we are going into the Big East tournament. That'll start on Friday, but for UConn, it'll start on Saturday. We will recap it all once it is over, and hopefully we are Big East champions, but we will see. Until then, I'm Mahn.
And I'm Inesta. Thanks for watching.